We're moving on to step 3 of writing our example essay over Of Mice and Men. This is an informational essay where we're combining doing some research about current social issues with text evidence from the novel Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. So let's go ahead and review where we started and have a look at the document. Scrolling back to the beginning, this would be the first page of your document. It would look something like this, but customized to your unique topic. So scrolling down, you can see the sections that we've already completed. At this point, we've completed step 1, watching the video and getting familiar with how to utilize the document. We've moved on to step 2 and completed that. We've written the rough draft of our introduction, including gathering evidence, and then actually writing the paragraph using the prompts and deleting out the blue typing. So at this point, we're ready to go on to step 3. This is the first body paragraph of the essay. This is where you're going to be writing about the history of the topic or social issue that you've selected. I'm doing an example about ageism, discrimination against older Americans based on age. You can look and see that there is some information about due dates as well as links to my seminar and Ms. Miller's seminar in case you're working on this and want some extra assistance. So let's look what we have to do first. We're going to go slowly, smoothly, and step by step through this process. I know it looks like a lot of words, but that's there to help you if you're working independently and get stuck. All right, so let's begin. It says first, gather evidence for your first body paragraph. And so let's refresh what we're going to gather evidence about. The history of our topic. So the history of how older Americans were discriminated against in the past. So the first thing that we'll do is we're going to give you one resource that we know is good, solid, and reliable over which you can take notes. And so I want to make sure that I know what I'm taking notes about. So before I actually launch into reading this article and taking notes, I am going to go down here to the second step and skim over what I'm going to have to do. So let's look at what we're going to be writing. Okay, write your first body paragraph, use the prompts to help you. It says write a main idea sentence, blank, insert the name of the marginalized group you named in your thesis statement, have historically faced discrimination and poor treatment by, insert the group of people who have treated people like this badly. Okay, so I'm writing about how in the past, some group has treated older Americans badly. All right, so I know I'm looking to find out what group mistreated them. Next, I'm going to be asked to describe offensive names used to describe older adults. Be sure to explain why those terms are offensive, like how using those words takes power away from, this should say older Americans, older people, and gives it to the person using those words. You'll use a direct quote from your source, and you'll need to cite it using a parenthetic citation. All right, let's look what we have to do next. Describe a specific action towards older Americans that was unfair or unkind in the past. So you can use a direct quote or you can paraphrase it. And you have to use the source I provided or the one you found on your own. I have to be ready to describe a law from the past that was unfair to older adults. I'll have to cite my sources again. Then I'm going to have to describe one way that older Americans fought for equal rights and treatment. And so I have to make sure I know what they were able to achieve and what they did to achieve it. And you're going to do the same thing for your topic. So you want to make sure you've looked over this so you have an idea what kind of evidence you're looking for. All right, now we're ready to go back up here and start looking at our sources and taking some notes. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my link. And usually we give you guys some hints there to help you. And you can see it pops up. Now let's say I clicked on the hyperlink directly from the internet and it didn't work. If I go down here where it says link not working, click here to access a PDF copy of the document. I've uploaded copies of this document into my personal and private hosted server, so there should never be an issue with an expired URL. So you could also click there and access the same stuff. See, it looks exactly the same. I'm going to go ahead and close that out for now, though. And I'm going to look at the hint that my teacher gave me. It says, look carefully at pages 17 to 21. Take notes about actions that people have taken against older adults that were hurtful or unfair. All right, so I'm going to go to pages 17 to 21, like I was instructed to do. Let's see if I'm getting there. 12, 15, I'm getting close. 16, 17. All right, so they talk about discrimination in the media. I'm skimming through. So this is all about like television and how older people are like not represented in television shows. I'm not sure that quite fits the history of the topic. I'm going to skim down. Discrimination in marketing. So this is about how like when we try to sell people things with commercials, older people are not generally like marketed towards, like we don't make products that they would want to buy. I'm not sure that fits either. Ooh, look at this. There's an offensive word for an older person. I know that that's going to be something I have to cite at one point. I'm just going to keep that in mind. Ageism. Okay, here we go. This is a page that looks like it's going to be what I need. I'm skimming. And this is what you're going to do as well. You're going to stop, you're going to skim, you're going to look for information that you think will be helpful. I'm skimming through this. Talks about how people, a long time ago maybe respected their elders. I think this is going to be significant. The Great Depression, because, that actually deals precisely with the time period and of mice and men. So I think I should probably pay extra special attention here. Let's see. I kind of feel like some of this may be stuff I want to cite. I think I want to take this part right here, and I'm going to copy and paste that over here into my document about examples of ageism. And notice this doesn't happen automatically, but let's go ahead and make sure we're really set up with a good quality parenthetic citation here. I'm just going ahead and fixing my quotation marks. Just FYI, if there's a quote within a quote, you have to do a single quotation mark around the quote inside of the quote. That's a pretty fine detail. All right, let's just go ahead and see if there was an author for this text. I'm just going to scroll back to the beginning here really fast. And I don't think that there is a specific contributor. So what I would do is I will take the first word of the title, and that's going to be what I place in parentheses. And I'm going to italicize it because it's part of a title. All right, so let me go ahead and get back in there. It's page 20, I think I saw that bit about workplace discrimination. I may need to come back to that. All right, let's look at some more about the history. And notice, it's taking me a minute. Okay, let's see. I'm looking. Okay, so I think this is significant. Social Security, that's something that older people are supposed to get to help them support themselves in old age. That happened in 1940. And I remember there being something about older Americans and what, a law that helped them at some point. I know I'm going to have something about that. So I'm going to go ahead and cite that. And just like before, I'm going to go ahead and take this because it's the same source. And I'm just going to make sure I'm all set up with my proper MLA citation so that when I'm ready to go, I can put this right into my writing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Oh, so the people doing poverty, check this out, measuring poverty. If you're looking for a source and your topic is poverty, you may want to look at this resource as well. Let's see. Oh, here we go. They're going to talk about the term of ageism. And I'm skimming through. I'm looking what I want to take notes over. Okay, so here's some examples of like offensive things that people are called and times that older people may just experience discrimination and like ways they may experience discrimination. So I'm going to go ahead once again and just get ready to make sure this is cited properly. And I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to read just a touch further. And I'm going to see if there's anything else I think I can use. Age discrimination in employment. Oh, this talks about a law that was passed to end age discrimination when we're talking about hiring people for jobs. So, and it's interesting. They talk about this thing called mandatory retirement. It used to be that when you got to a certain age, usually 65, your employer could make you quit just because you had gotten older. And this law was designed to mean that people who didn't, want to just have to quit their job because they were a certain age didn't have to. Like some people want to keep working and can keep working. All right, I feel like I've got some good information here. I'm going to skim just a bit further and see if there's anything else I think I can use or want to have. Look at this, all these different definitions of ageism. I could have talked about that. Oh, look, here's some offensive terms for older people. And I kind of feel like all of this could be useful. Oops. Let's see if I don't know if I got it all here. Hang on. I kind of like these. And I'm just going to make myself a note. Offensive terms to describe older adults. And that was actually a thing I didn't know. The term older adult is the appropriate term, not the elderly. I learned a new thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I know that all of these different terms are here. Once again, I'm going to cite. And notice it's like not taking me like a super long amount of time, but it does take me a moment. Okay, I feel like there's enough there that I'll be able to get the information I need between what I'm going to paraphrase, which is like I take information from the article, but I put it in my own words, and then the direct quotes I've got here. I feel like I can do that. All right, so let's go ahead and scroll down. And this is a resource I'm going to find on my own. So we're going to give you some clues about what to search for. It'll say try some searches. So offensive language to describe the elderly, ageist language. And then we're going to type some notes about it here. Oops, I forgot to do my works cited entry. I think I'm going to go back and do the works cited entries after I've taken my notes, and I'll show you guys that step at the end. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on over here. I'm going to keep that other article open. And I'm going to talk about ageist language. Examples. Apparently I'm not the first to search for that in Google. Okay, let's see what this is. Let's see if this is a reliable source and what we think of it. Okay, Alliance for Strong Families and Communities. I don't know anything about that .org. So it makes me feel like maybe this is an okay source. So I'm going to do a little bit of research about them. Alliance for Strong Families and Communities. What is, and this is how I'm checking to see if my source is any good. The Alliance for Strong Families and Communities. I'm going to see if this is reputable, just because I've never heard of them before. All right, so let's look and see what this is. Okay, I'm reading about it, a national organization dedicated to achieving its vision of healthy societies. Looks like they do a lot to maybe help people, of all different ages and things like that. I'm just making sure that they're not skewed too much in one direction. Okay, so they're not, affiliated with anything that doesn't sound pretty middle of the road. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to see if they're reputable. I'm going to see if anybody, GuideStar, let's see. And it does take a minute to really look over and be informed. Seal of transparency, okay. All right, so look here. Yeah, it looks like this is an okay organization. I feel all right using them as a resource. All right, so let's go ahead and look for those ageist terms. Oh, ageist phrases to avoid. Oh, see, I wouldn't have even realized that these were, like, not so great. Okay, but I think we can use this. Okay, let's see, I'm just going to take the whole thing, move it on over to my notes. All right, let's type those notes here. A lot of it's about being condescending and, like, infantilizing older people. So I think that's kind of interesting. I feel like I'm learning a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about those works cited entries for a moment. So we're going to go ahead and go to EasyBib, and we're going to create works cited entries for the two sources that we use to take notes, the one that we provided for you, and then the one you found on your own. So I'm going to do the one that we provided for you first. Like, before I even get into writing my paragraph, I want to make sure I take care of this. Okay, so we're going to create citations. And sometimes, you'll really luck out. And I don't need to check for plagiarism. Ah, here it goes. It's just a little pokey to get going sometimes. All right, so I'll scroll down here. And we're using MLA. Let me go ahead and get a URL for this document. Let me see what I think I should look at it as. I'm going to try this as a website. Really, it's a journal that's printed online, but we'll see. And it always takes just a second for EasyBib to load. I think it's because it has to load ads. So, fingers crossed somebody else has already put this in and I don't have to do a ton of work on my own. But I'll show you what to do if you have to. All right, let's see here. I think it's thinking. It's still thinking. Oh, I think we're getting close. Oh, this URL is a PDF. We can't auto-cite this URL. All right, so if this happens to you, let me show you what you're going to do. Okay, you're going to go ahead and pull over the document and put it side by side with your EasyBib. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these windows so that I can sit them side by side, perhaps a bit more easily. And we're just going to go through and we're going to fill stuff in. And yeah, I know it seems like something where you're like, I'll do it later. You're not going to do it later. So Ageism in America is the article title. And I don't believe we had one specific author. So let's go ahead and see what we do have. The website title, I can tell you who put this out, was columbia.edu. Well, actually, that's just who hosted it. So hang on, let's do the URL. And I'm going a little out of order. That's a thing that happens sometimes. And let's see what I've got here. And it looks like, I wonder if I kind of go back and get rid of some of this. Sometimes you have to be a little bit of a detective. I'm going to see if I can be a little bit of a detective here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so here's where I found it. Columbia Aging Center is the title of our website. And if this is something you get stuck with, we can certainly help you, but you do have to come to seminar or ask for the assistance or we don't know you're having a hard time. Aging Center. The publisher or sponsor is the Robert N. Butler Columbia Aging Center. Okay. The Robert N. Butler Columbia Aging Center. And see how it's helpful to have these side by side? Okay, let's look and see when this was electronically published. So we're going to look at the website overall. I'm going to agree whatever it asks. So it looks like, you know, the most recent, they've updated the website to 2021. Doesn't specifically tell me when they uploaded that PDF, but we're going to work with that. And let's see what we've got here. Let's see how our citation looks. Yeah, and you're going to have to probably view a video every 48 hours. So disregard that. That's going to be a thing that you're going to see as well. So, you know, while we're waiting for that to be a thing that
Plus lets
happens,
you scan for accidental
listening.
Check your grammar. Automatically generate
21
citations
seconds.
in the style you need. Start your 3-day free trial now.
12 seconds, guys, and then we'll keep going. So be prepared for that when you're doing your own sources. That's probably worth mentioning. Okay. Yeah, we don't have an author. My citation list. Let's see if we've got it. Okay, cool. Check this out. All right, so I'm going to copy my citation. I'm going to come on over to my document, and notice all of this takes a bit of time. So please, for all that's holy, make sure you're using your class time. So let me show you a couple things about how you're going to want to have this later. We'll go ahead and worry about formatting at a later date. Okay, so let's go ahead and do your second source. Hopefully we'll have a little more success with this one. I'm going to copy and paste the second source, and we're going to hop back over here into EasyBib. And I doubt we'll have to do as much this next time. All right, so let's see what I've got. Create a new citation. Let's see if we can do website this time. Hopefully this will be a little easier on us. I'll bet it is. Oh, look at that. Somebody's already done this one. Hot diggity dog. Makes my life easier. Check it out. All right, so it looks like there's a couple of things I'm going to have to look at on my own, but we can do that. So there may be some things you have to do on your own. So let's see if we have an author for that. I'm going to hop on over here. And it looks like there are two authors. Ellie Mixter Carroll wrote this along with Emily Merritt. So, Mixter Keller, Ellie, author. So sometimes you do have to go and fix things. You can't just take it for granted that this will be correct. Mixter Kelly. Did I spell her last name right? E-Y? Keller, see? Gotta check. Okay, and there was another contributor. Her name was Emily Merritt, 2 R's, 2 T's. Emily, M-E-R-R-I-T-T. All right, let's keep going and seeing if there's more. Alliance homepage. Let's see if we can find out when this was first published. Usually it's down towards the bottom of the page. Let's see if there's anything about it. I'm just looking to see. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything terribly specific about like a specific date of publication, which is okay. We can put the year. Down at the bottom it said 2020, so we have that much. And let's see if we know who published this. Alliance homepage. Alliance for Strong Families and Communities. That's who actually published this, so I need to fill that in as well. Alliance for Strong Families and Communities. So notice, yeah, I'm a teacher, and it still takes me a minute. All right, complete the citation. Hopefully we don't have to watch an ad this time. Oh, look, it's much faster now because we've done all of that. So let's go ahead and look down here. Here we go. Look at that. Copy citation. hop back over to our document, scroll down, and it says create it and paste that works cited entry there. And I'm going to do more things with the formatting when I actually get to my works cited page. All right, so I've done my research. I've taken some notes. I'm ready to write. So the first thing is to write a main idea sentence. So first off is I'm just basically giving you a skeleton and you have to fill it in. So I'm going to put, for insert the name of marginalized group you named in your thesis statement is older Americans, that's my group, have historically faced discrimination and poor treatment, have historically faced discrimination, I'm just copying from above, by who has treated them badly? Younger people. And, like, really those in power? Yeah, I'm just going to stick with younger people because usually it's like younger people in positions of power. Okay, so describe offensive names used to describe older adults. Be sure to explain why those terms are offensive. You're going to use a direct quote from your source and have a parenthetical citation. So we can say older Americans have been called offensive names by the younger generation. I kind of like the autofill there. Such as, let's go ahead and look at some of those words. And I think there were some. Now, these are more like terms or like phrases. I thought we had better stuff up here. Like, I like crotchety old man, dirty old man. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take these. And I'm going to show you how to cite this. Like, if you skip around in a list, there's a way you're going to do this. I'm going to scroll back down to where I'm writing. And anytime I take a direct quote, I have to put in quotation marks. Crotchety old man. And I remember this wasn't actually capitalized, so I need to uncapitalize it. Dirty old man. Or, and I think I want to pick at least one more because that gives me 3. Let's go back up to my notes there. Oh, where did I find that? Oh, there. Or I'm looking. I don't know. Maybe it'd be good to mention something about like sweet old lady. I kind of think that one could be an interesting thing to talk about because you're like, oh, that seems so nice, but it's actually not. I feel kind of like we have an opportunity to educate people just a bit. All right. Oops. Going this way. I know that wasn't actually capitalized. Okay, so I know that the source was that ageism article, but I need to also cite the page number. Let me just make this a little bigger so you guys can see a little more easily. So remember, I had to use the first word of the title, so I have to italicize it. And, you know, I know that was on a specific page of my document. Yeah, I've already closed it. Let me reopen that real quick because I need to scroll down and see what page I got that from. All right, so going back to where I was, I know I had to look on pages 17 to 21 somewhere. It was somewhere in that ballpark. So I know it was down there. And I remember it was like some boxes on the page. So I'm just going to go back and see if I can find it. Probably wouldn't have been a bad idea to cite the page numbers the first time. But, you know, if you find yourself in a similar situation, you're going to do exactly what I'm doing. Oh, let's see. Where is that list? Oh, there it is. And it looks like it's on page 22. Okay, so back to my document. Ageism. And now the number 22 for the page number, you're not going to italicize that. So it'll look just like this. See how there's like no comma, no PG or anything like that? Okay, so now I've given the terms, but that's not all of it. It says, explain why those terms are offensive and how those words take power away from older people and give it to the person who uses those words. By calling someone a crotchety old man, a person can disregard an older person's anger, even if the anger is justified. It's like it minimizes their anger, even if it's fair. Okay, now I did not have to cite it again. So see how I said crotchety old lady again, or crotchety old man again? I had just cited it in the sentence before, so I really probably don't need to do it again. So I'm going to go on and talk about how dirty old man is offensive. By calling someone a dirty old man, it is implied that an older man views all young women as sexual objects, not human beings, which isn't fair or true. It's like, oh, all old men are just dirty old perverts. Well, that's not really reasonable or fair. And I'm going to mention how calling someone a sweet old lady seems nice, but it's kind of a problem because it means that you don't have to take that older woman seriously. So I might say, calling an older woman a sweet old lady seems on the surface to be a compliment. However, this term serves to, I have to think how I want to say it, take power away from women, where it's like they're just a nice old lady and you don't have to listen to anything they say. Serves to disempower older, powerful, opinionated women. So if you call somebody a sweet old lady, it's like, oh, she's just a sweet old lady. You don't have to listen to anything she says. It's kind of like she doesn't get to be powerful anymore. She's an old lady. All right, so I feel pretty good about that. Let's see what my next part is. So I'm just going to go through, step by step. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to get in a hurry. And I'm just going to deal with each section by itself. So don't look too far ahead. You're probably going to stress yourself out. Okay, so describe a specific action towards older Americans that was unkind or unfair in the past. So I remember that thing about the Great Depression. Let's go back and look at my notes. I remember that. That first source was a pretty solid one. I remember, there is it. Okay, so I think I'm going to paraphrase the stuff I read about the Great Depression. So basically, what I read in the article talked about how during the Great Depression, everyone was struggling financially. So even people who were young and fit and capable of doing heavy labor had difficulty getting work. So older people didn't even stand a chance. So I want to make sure I kind of talk about that. And this is another place I'm going to need to go back and find that page number. So this time I'm not going to do a direct quote. I'm going to paraphrase. So I'm going to go ahead and type here. So during the Great Depression, which fits in so well with what we're reading about, when jobs were scarce and even young, physically strong people had difficulty finding work, older Americans suffered enormously because they were not able to work as quickly or as long as younger people. They were unable to get work. This led to terrible poverty, homelessness, and food scarcity. Oh, food shortages. That was good. Okay, so once again, this is from that ageism source, but I need to go back and find that page number that I paraphrased from. So let's go back. Yeah, I know it was around here someplace. I'm skimming. I think I went too far. Hold up. Let's go back. Where did I read about that? Yeah, here we go. I found it. That's where they talked about the Depression, and I paraphrased. It was on page 18. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to add that. And once again, my page number is not going to be italicized. So let me make sure it's not. It's not. Page 18. Close my parentheses, period. All right. Ready to go on to the next part. Describe a law in the past that was unfair to older adults. So I remember they talked about that thing where it's like they forced you to into retirement. So I'm going to actually kind of tie these two parts together. So, like prior to the passage of, what was the name of that law again? Hang on. I'm going back up. I got to look at my notes. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967. Okay, so I won't actually have to put quotation marks around because it's actually just the name of legislation that was passed. It's not like a direct quote. It's kind of hard to describe why that would be, but that's what you would do. Of 1967, older Americans could be forced into retirement by their employers when they reached the age of 65. Okay, so once again, same source. I had a good source. Ageism, and on italicize it, I gotta find that page number. Oops, wrong source. Okay, so let's see if we can find that. I just saw it because the page number is important. It's just down here a little further, I believe. Yeah, here we go. Well, no, that's not it. Giving a name to prejudice. Oh, here we go. Age discrimination in employment. Yeah, here we go. It's on page 20. You know, in retrospect, I really kind of wish I'd found those page numbers ahead of time, but I'm able to work for that. So I already kind of mentioned the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967 and like a way that people were discriminated against before that. I'm going to go ahead and explain that after the passage of the ADEA. Older Americans could no longer be forced into retirement simply because they were older than, whoops, typo. You know, if you catch your typos early, it does make it easier, than 65. And so I just explained it. And once again, I could go ahead, and it's the same page. I remember it was all kind of right there. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Command C. Command V. All right, cool. Check it out. I've done my paragraph. Everything's there. Later on, I'm going to be ready to go back. and I'm going to be ready to delete all the blue typing. Now, if I want to save myself a trip later on, I can actually go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just to show you what it's going to look like. So this is going to be the rough draft of that body paragraph. So right now I've got some spaces I don't need in there. I'm just going to get rid of the extra spaces I don't need, because all of this is a single paragraph. And sometimes paragraphs are a little longer, and this is a great example of that. Here we go. I'm going to make sure that I indent the first line. And check it out. Look at that. My beautiful first body paragraph has been written. All right, guys, go ahead and use this guide to see how to get through that process. And we're looking forward to proofreading your drafts.